Oh, this video is brought to you by Mind Cop, a new non-linear whodunit detective game where your greatest weapon is that big old beautiful brain of yours. A brutal killer is on the loose. You only have 5 days to catch them, and every action you take comes at a time cost. So think before you act and choose your moves carefully. Thankfully, you're not just some regular schmuck detective racing against the clock. You're a Mind Cop. What's a Mind Cop, you ask? Well, it's like a time cop, but instead of Jean-Claude Van Damme doing the splits, you use your Mind Cop abilities to sneak into the heads of suspects, mind surf into a psychedelic, abstract dream space to solve a variety of puzzles and explore their sea of thoughts. This gets you clues and conversation topics to use in your investigation, so you're not doing the splits, you're doing the mind splits. Mind Cop is available now on PS5, Nintendo Switch, and Steam, so head on over to the link in the description and start your investigation today.
Hi.
Hello? Fucking shit. Hey, this is what happens when you don't get DP. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Firelink Podcast, episode number 45 for Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. I am Marty Sleva, joined by Casey Wosu, Nick Calandra, and of course, producer Eric. And have we got a humdinger for you all? We got a big old HBD that just happened. Half-Life 2 turned 20, and Valve celebrated by releasing a bunch of different cool Half-Life shit. You know, we're not going to make a new Half-Life, but we'll keep releasing cool old Half-Life shit. And then, obviously, we've been chatting about games and movies we've been playing and watching. And the big topic is kind of like two topics in one that we're going to Voltron. And the first is that Sony has expressed quite a bit of interest in purchasing Kadokawa, which is the umbrella parent company of a ton of things, including anime companies, light novel companies, manga companies, but as well as a couple of video game developers, including FromSoftware. And sticking with FromSoftware, the Game Award nominations went out earlier this week, and it felt like a lot of great games got nominated, but also a lot of people were very angry that Shadow of the Erdtree was nominated for Game of the Year, considering its expansion/DLC status. So we'll kind of unpack that. See, I'm curious to see how you guys feel, because I don't think we've actually talked about that at all. We just kind of glossed over it on Monday. I think we were just kind of like, whatever. And so it's interesting to see that was the topic that everyone started clutching their pearls about. How are you guys doing? Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Yeah, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, no big news for me throughout the week. Not angry about any video game news that has come out recently.
That's great.
That's good. It's great.
Yeah.
Did you get that those crazy wins this week, Marty?
Not crazy winds, no, but it did. We got our first snowfall today when I went on my jog. I went on a jog, and mid-jog it started snowing. I'm like, the fuck is going on?
Still got like a bunch of green leaves on our trees in Kansas City. This weather this fall, I think we're just skipping fall and going straight to winter.
Yeah, weather is screwed. It's been hot as hell in my house all day, but it's like 54 degrees outside. Like I don't, nothing, like no air or heat is on. I don't know what's happening.
Nothing makes
It's
sense. The verdict's still out.
It's not been like cold enough at night to go out and be like, yeah, we're gonna do a bonfire tonight, because it's been like 50-60 degrees. It needs to be like 40.
You know what? Bonfire, what if you do a cold fire?
Do like a real little bonfire.
Small bonfire. Series of small bonfires. Think about that.
A series of small bonfires, and not just a brush fire.
No, that's a Lord's Rand.
Oh,
a
okay.
Of small bonfires. A little off joke. Got us back on track after a little bit of banter. But yeah, we're in that final stretch of the year. Only 5-ish weeks, 6-ish weeks left in the year. Most of the big games have come out. I think the last couple stragglers, now that Stalker's here, are going to be Marvel Rivals and Indiana Jones. Those seem like the two biggies. So it's nice. It's a good time for people to be going through their lists, playing the things they've meant to play but didn't get a chance to. I played a little bit of Stalker 2. We'll talk about it later. I'm not Stalker 2's audience, and I also played a small enough amount to where my opinion should not even be listened to. I'm going to make it anyways. So think about that. But a game that takes place in a dystopian future that I have played is Half-Life 2. 2 days ago, Half-Life 2 celebrated its big old 20th HBD. I believe it was November 18th, 2004. That was a good...
My goodness.
That was a good November. You know what else came out in November 2004, Nick?
Halo 2.
Halo 2 came out. Yeah. A couple biggies.
Arguably the better 2 game.
H2.
Gus is not here, so we can say it. Halo 2 is absolutely the better H2 game. Yeah, he's not here. Don't tell him I said it. It's fine. Halo 2 is way more fun.
He just like smacked his food across the table.
But he doesn't know why. He just threw it in the air.
Yeah, I felt a tremor in the force. But obviously Half-Life 2, like one of the most influential games of the aughts, I would say, and celebrated its 20th anniversary the other day with a handful of different things, including a big old no clip documentary from Danny O'Dwyer and the team.
Secret tape documentary.
Excuse me. That's no clips.
Paid
auxiliary. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Published funded. They added commentary, like over, I think it was like 3 hours of commentary to Half-Life 2, which I think is the way Valve does commentary is really great, where it's almost node-based commentary. So you're playing the game, and then you'll see a little icon in the world that pertains to that exact thing. Because, like a movie commentary, they're obviously, or when we like goof on a movie night, it's easy to speak about everything as watching this. But in a game, you're like, well, how do I know where the player is right now? So they're node-based.
Yeah, and Valve, if I am not mistaken, started doing this forever ago. Like they did this for Left 4 Dead. They did it for Portal games.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised like it didn't like take off. Like we don't see this anywhere else. Like
it's funny. The other big game that did it this exact same way was Firewatch, and that team ended up getting bought by Valve. So maybe the secret to getting bought by Valve is that you just do your commentary that way. But then they added updates to the game, including just packaging. It is all one game now, which is interesting. Like it is no longer Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and Episode 2. They're all from the same launcher, from the same window and everything. Like they've kind of like created a single journey.
They cleaned it up.
They cleaned it up a little bit. And then, some interesting little tidbits as well about like ideas they had for, because like there was an Episode 3 or a Half-Life 3 that was in some form of development several times over the past 20 years. And like some of the ideas were being like, oh, it was going to like use heat and ice as a major thing, as like a tool for combat and puzzle solving and survival and everything. Also showcase some cool slime enemies. We could have lived in a world where we were just fighting slimes, which is, I mean, you can just fight slimes, I guess, in every other game, because it's not like we're lacking slimes to fight in games. But imagine
pass on the slimes. I'm not surprised they decided to not go forward with that.
They're like, I think we're the first game with slimes ever, and then like, oh, let's just check out what Japan's doing. Like, oh, every fucking game in Japan has slimes. What do we do? It's interesting that Valve continues to celebrate their legacy and their past while still being extremely cryptic about what they are actually working on and what they are going forward. But I do like celebrating an anniversary of a big game like this. I think it's cool. I mean, hey, we didn't mention it the other week, but speaking of Halo 2, didn't they celebrate the 20th anniversary by releasing a playable version of that original demo that they like showed off at E3?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did that, and then they remade all the Halo 2 maps in Forge and brought those back for a playlist. And like a playlist like with Halo 2 game settings as well. I keep meaning to go play it. I just been busy with other stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no like big documentary or anything.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that DP?
if somebody's listening, let me come film that thing, please.
I think you might need to ask them. I don't know if they're going to ask us. It's also tough because like is that a
they're all over
project?
the place.
Is that a Microsoft project?
Yeah,
yeah, they're all over the industry. Marty O'Donnell's gone off the rails a bit.
Jesus.
Yeah, Valve is still mostly Valve from 20 years ago.
Sure.
You would think.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of folks have left, but
yeah, a lot of folks that worked on Half-Life
but
1
like
and 2 aren't there.
the Half-Life IP hasn't changed hands. The studio hasn't changed hands. It's always been under that umbrella.
Yeah.
But yeah, HBD to Half-Life 2. Did you play the Half-Life games, Nick? I know you've not played Portal 2, but
I played Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2 2 years ago. Played Half-Life Alyx. I have not gone back and played Episode 1. And I think I played Episode 2 back on the Orange Box when it came out. I just don't remember it because it was so long ago.
That's fair.
that was like almost
2007.
Yeah, 2007. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
Cool. HPD. A couple super chats before we move on. We're getting to our main topic quick, but don't worry. It's a big old gangly topic. It's gonna take us a while. So Arthur, thank you so much for the dono. Meow indeed. Mao. How did I mispronounce meow? What happened there? How did that happen?
Wow.
There was a cool cat in the intro that Eric had, which was great. And I don't know the sound cats make because I'm allergic to them. And then Dower Dodger with a $5 dono. Thank you so much. Obligatory screw you, Sony, for ruining things that they get their grubby hands on. I was literally going to say counterpoint and then think of a company that's better off. Insomniac seems like they're fine. They're making Spider-Man games. Seems nice.
That's all they get to make now is licensed games.
They were able to loan their control over Spider-Man to Insomniac, and they did what they did with it. So, good on them.
Yeah.
No, that's what happened. Insomniac was too good at its job on the first day. Like they were too good at Spider-Man. They're like, you got to make Spider-Mans forever. I'm sorry, Fred.
Shit.
It's like in the film Gladiator, which I'm gonna talk about later. Guys, I did a Gladiator rewatch for the first time in 24 years. My opinion, I thought Gladiator was bad, and then I watched Gladiator, and it turns out Gladiator is really good.
Yeah.
That's weird that you thought that.
I don't know what was going on. I saw it in theaters, and I think I was angry or something, or I like wanted gangs of New York, or I don't know what I was angry at. But Maximus, too good of a general. He just wants to retire, go be a farmer with his family. But then fucking Joaquin Phoenix is like, nah, you're too good. You can't retire. Insomniac is the Maximus in this allegory. There you go.
brought it back around.
What?
You mean
No,
Sony?
Insomniac.
No, Insomniac is Maximus. Sony is Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't remember his name. Jonimus.
Jonamus Maximus.
Jonimus. And Zararthur, thank you so much for the donation. Completely unrelated, but happy Black Consciousness Day, a Brazilian holiday to commemorate, well, Black consciousness. Well, there you go. Right.
Oh, I've never heard of this.
I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah. Excellent. And then Blenda, thank you so much, gifting a sub over in YouTube. The Red King.
Thank you, Blenda.
Oh no, the Red King? That's a villain in the Dark Tower. We can't let the Red King in here. The Crimson King? Get out of here. I don't think it's actually the Crimson Kings. That's a fictional character, and he probably doesn't have a YouTube account. All right, we're main topicing. This is it. This is a record. 15 minutes to main topic.
Hey.
This might be a 21-minute podcast. God, how great would that be?
And we're still going to complain.
Can you possibly? How can you possibly?
We'll
How can you possibly
see.
imagine? No, this is going to be about an hour of a topic. Okay, so FromSoft's very strange week. Do you guys want to start with the Sony news, or do you guys want to start with the Game Awards?
Start with the Game Awards. I think that's the meatier one because
Okay.
we don't know a whole lot about the acquisition just yet.
Oh, I know
Sure.
everything. I'm insider trading like
you-
fucking Martha.
Did
over
you
here.
know that that parent company is big on anime and manga?
Game Award nominations went out Monday morning, and the Keeley Awards, which are going to be held 3 weeks from today. No, 3 weeks from tomorrow. We'll be doing the live stream, obviously, on December 12th. And the nominations went out, including the actual Game of the Year nominees, 6 of them this year, which included Astrobot, Balatro, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Metaphor ReFantazio, Black Myth Wukong, and Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. Now, we can go over specific categories if we feel like there are snubs, games that got overlooked, trends, or anything. But let's just start with the big story online, which seemed to be people frothing at the mouth, angry saying that a DLC like Shadow of the Erd Tree should not be in contention for Game of the Year. So how do you guys feel about that?
I think no, you go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't particularly care, but I also think I lean more on the side of no, because like no other expansion has been up there. Like like Phantom Liberty wasn't up there. I can't remember. I don't think Blood and Wine was up there for The Witcher. I don't remember.
No DLC or expansion has ever been nominated for the Best Game Award, although they could have always. In the rules, it always stated, and everyone keeps screaming at Jeff, and I don't know why I'm defending Jeff here. Jeff does not select the nominees. The judges select the nominees, which Jeff is not one of. So if you want to be mad at anyone, I guess be mad at the judges. Or don't be mad at anyone, because everything's hard. Life's terrible. Be nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it takes away a nomination from a game that probably could have been up there instead of a DLC and expansion. Not to like downplay the work that went into that thing, but I don't think like it's not a whole standalone game on its own. It's continuing what was already made. I don't know. It's a weird one. I'm not angry over it. I don't particularly care, but I also would have liked to have seen that spot gone to something like Animal Well or whatever. I don't know. It's just I don't know. Every year, the Game Awards has something that somebody doesn't like.
Yeah, literally, that was a tweet I saw with someone trying to predict what the controversy about the Game Awards thing would be. They were like, "Oh, last year it was this, the year before it was that. I wonder what this year will be." We have our answer. It's the DLC thing. But I think it's super interesting that this apparently has always been in the rules. And they preempted this announcement by reminding everyone, like, "Hey, just remember these are the rules." Like
that was a real show of their hands, right?
Yeah, like it was like we knew this was coming, right?
Yeah.
But again, same as Nick. Like, I don't feel like particularly strongly one way or another about this, especially in Elden Ring's case, because like, yeah, From Software does amazing work, and it makes sense to recognize them for the work they do. But this does feel a little out of place. But not just because it's a DLC, but because of the kind of DLC it is. Like, there is a barrier to entry for this. Like, if it was something that felt like a full game almost on its own, but just happens to be DLC, where like someone who maybe finished the whole game, or like they just purchased the whole game, or like maybe it's a standalone thing, and then you can just jump in and just play to completion, and like it feels like this amazing thing, and it's a standalone. Like, it feels standalone enough, even though it's technically DLC. I wouldn't have an issue with that being nominated. It feels like a technicality that it wouldn't be if it was that good. This definitely feels like you can't get to this game. This is like a leg on piece of a larger body. So like, how is this game of the year? Like, the game is Elden Ring. Like, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erd Tree is a piece of that. Like, it's like double dipping because Elden Ring won last year, right?
2 years ago.
It's
2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the point, really, is like you have to play Elden Ring to play Shadow of the Erd Tree, whereas something like Miles Morales was a standalone
Like
game.
several hours worth of Elden Ring.
Yeah, lots of hours worth of Elden Ring. And yeah, it is like just a new area within Elden Ring. It's not really its own game.
Yeah, like, I mean, argument can be made because of how, like, the value you get out of it, or just kind of how much time you spend with it, or just what you get out of it personally. Like, those are all super subjective.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like this particular case feels like all those subjective parameters don't make the argument for it. So like, yeah, it does feel a little shaky.
It's funny. I wrote about this earlier in the week for my weekly Patreon column that folks at the $5 tier and above are able to read every Tuesday. And I didn't come on Jesus. I didn't land on one side or another. At the end of it, I kind of just like lay down, like, I think it's a complicated thing. I actually don't feel strongly one way or the other, but it's interesting to me that no one seems to bat an eye that remakes get nominated, right? I don't think we have any this year. Well, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, but I mean, that's another thing of like, what is a remake? But last year, Resident Evil 4 Remake was nominated for Game of the Year. We've seen remakes in the past get nominated. Silent Hill Remake got nominated for a bunch of stuff. It's also funny that we get everyone seems angry, and then everyone is like, how dare they nominate Erdtree because blank clearly should have been the other nominee. And then there's 100 other blanks. They're like, because clearly Stellar Blade should have been there, because clearly Call of Duty should have been there, because clearly Animal Well should have been there, because clearly Zelda should have been there. So it doesn't feel like there is a clean,
like something particular has been shunned here. Like, it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's a singular egregious thing they left out, because like, me personally, Astrobot, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and Metaphor, 3 of my favorite games of the year. Balatro, everyone but me loves. Black Myth Wukong, I don't know what's going on here. I still don't understand. I feel like this seems odd. This feels like a Horizon Zero Dawn psyop, and I don't think it's a real game, but whatever. I'm not gonna get mad. I got all my weeb shit in there, so that's fine.
That one feels a little strategic.
Yeah.
But again, Jeff has nothing to do with that as a pick, right? Like, it's the judges, but
and maybe that's another thing of like, maybe the judges need refreshing, because a lot of the judges are from older traditional media. Like IGN gets a vote, GameSpot gets a vote, Polygon gets, that kind of thing. So maybe there needs a freshening up there. But there's never going to be people are never gonna be happy. No one's ever happy with the Oscars.
Yeah.
No one's ever, the Oscars been going on for 80 some years and no one's happy with it. So like, there is no perfect way to do this. Like, to me, it is like, this is a celebration that comes around once a year that doesn't get everything right, but I think gets some things right. And I like focusing on the things it does get right.
I do think, like, without getting yelled at again, like you yell at me every year, that we should reach out to be on the judges panel, that I have to reach out. I wish they would, like refresh the judges and like reach out to other creators, because when you do look at the Indie Game Awards, which were just announced this week, from the guys that run 6 on Indie, a much better variety of experiences in there across the board that aren't, just the AAA games. And the part to me that I think what people need to understand, like why those nominations are the way they are at the Game Awards, because like when you are looking at all the legacy media, they're all tied to SEO and driving traffic, and what games drive the most traffic? Well, the games that are on those lists. So when do they have time to go through and cover all these other games in that way, right? Like, most of these people probably haven't even gotten a chance to play a lot of the games that are, up on the board. Or
if they do, they have like a few people from a place like IGN will be like going to bat for an Animal Well, but like everyone there played Astrobot, that kind of thing. So you get, the games that are sort of part of the big conversation, which a lot of times, like, people get not get mad at us, but people point out that there are certain games we don't talk about because none of us play them. They're not in our wheelhouse. Like big games, big strategy and 4X games and shit like Satisfactory will come out, MMOs, like stuff that we just aren't interested in. And so like, we could cover it. The coverage would fucking suck. And then you'd get mad because you'd be like, why do you not know what the fuck you're talking about in Factorio? And I'm like, because I don't like this, because I don't know what's going on.
Where's all your shiny Pokemon?
There's people that like every other week are like, you need to play RTS games. Like, I will suck at them so bad.
Like there's plenty of people who are like killing it covering those things, but you kind of want someone.
Yeah.
You want people to have like specialized coverage. You want people to be like knowledgeable and passionate about the things they cover.
But
I do think like if they widen out the judges pool out of just, because even if you ask, like, you probably have to be a certain size to get on their judges pool, to be quite frank. Like, and so that's why, like, when you look at the judges pool for the Game Awards and then the Indie Game Awards, huge, like, very little crossover between outlets that are judging. So I feel like if you did bring in the other outlets to the judges for the Game Awards, you get a much bigger variety of nominations rather than just the expected games every year from the big sizes, or the big studios. But pretty much.
But like, what do you think? So a bunch of like indie champions come.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what are the 6 nominees then?
I mean,
Do
I
you
think
take off Astrobot? Do you take off Final Fantasy? Do you take off Metaphor?
yeah. Well, I
Or
don't know.
is
I don't
that,
know.
Like, Black Myth Wukong isn't there and Animal Well is.
Right.
Like,
I don't
that
know.
might literally
Like,
be the only difference.
right. Yeah, and we don't know until we see it. I think it's just I think that's one way to get around these kind of things is just widen the judging pool.
We say that as industry insiders for the most part, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we were to do what we're suggesting here, and like a lot more of these indie experiences show up in these award ceremony, what I think we'd get is a lot of the general public being like, what the F is this game? I've
Mhm.
never heard of this. This means nothing to me. Where's my Astrobot? Where's my Erdtree? And so like that side, who
Yeah.
arguably has like a much louder, much more disturbing voice in terms of like the space, would then be PO'd and pissed off. So like you really can't make anyone happy. Like there's really no solving this. Honestly, it does make the more sense to ostracize, well, maybe not directly ostracize, but to kind of play down like the importance of the critics, of the people who are essentially tastemakers, and appeal to that wider base, because like that just hits more people. Like we'll understand the reasoning for it. Like average Joe won't. So like they won't they'll lose their mind over over their stuff not showing up. Whereas we can understand what's going on.
Yeah, Tyrell brings up a good point. Like I imagine, like occasionally a friend of mine, a normie friend, I bring up these amorphous normie friends of mine, will tune into the Game Awards. If Game of the Year came up and UFO 50 popped up, they'd be like, "Why the fuck is that up there? And why isn't Call of Duty?"
Yeah. Right, like
And
the legitimacy,
millions of people.
yeah, the
say that.
legitimacy of these awards would be called into question immediately by so many people. But it's just like they just don't know. Like they like that pop culture thing matters to something that's as forward facing as an awards show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's where I'm working on my unpacked piece. Where like just stop expecting more from the Game Awards. It's a hype show first and foremost. Awards are secondary to it, and pretty much every year what games are going to get nominated. Yahtzee did a whole Samira-momatic on it.
And as a hype show, it's really entertaining. Like I really like watching the Game Awards every year. Like for what it is and what it is trying to do, I think it succeeds better than any other similar award show. Like it copied that formula and like put its own spin on it. And like it's from beginning to end, I am engrossed. I like what I'm seeing. Sure, it can be improved one way or another, but like it's a fun time.
Yeah. But when you look at when you go down the categories, pretty good nominations. I'm going to be honest. Best indie game: Animal Well, Balatro, Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, Neva, and UFO 50. 3 of my 5 favorite indie games of the year are represented there. So that's cool. And I haven't played Neva yet, but that'll probably be up there. Balatro's whatever. He's got a fucking ton of money. He doesn't.
I mean, snub to 9 Souls.
Snub to 9 Souls. So that could
9 Souls got snubbed. That should.
Everyone's
going
to have their person.
I mean, it showed up somewhere on the list, right? Or
debut?
No, wait, it's not a debut.
No, not
I don't know if it's on the list.
Like anywhere. No.
It's not an action game. It's not as good of an action game as Space Marine 2, Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, Black Myth Wukong. All
right, here's my tinfoil hat, right? Because Black Myth Wukong is in Game of the Year contention. Right. That's Chinese made.
Sure.
9 Souls has beef with China because that's like a Taiwanese studio.
Is that what you think is going on here?
I don't know. I'm just asking questions.
I'm just asking questions. We need more segments. Just like JMA, just asking.
I'm just putting that out into the ether. I'm not saying nothing one way or the other.
Yeah, I just also think it's like it was a pretty fucking tough and punishing game. And unless a tough and punishing game is making its way into the general conversation like FromSoft games have, I think most of these judges probably don't have the time, patience, or skill to get into those super punishing games, right?
Yeah. And like it's only just now coming to Game Pass. So like the opportunity for it to get into that conversation is a little too late.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody I didn't see a lot of talk about 9 Souls after it released.
Yeah, I mean it feels like the people who played it all love it. Like I mean you and Yahtzee, just from people I know. Like I saw Jacob Geller talk about how it was one of his favorite games of the year, and then how it's like the people who like sat down with it and met it at its level were like, oh, this is incredible. I think it having kind of a boring name isn't great. Like You know what I mean? Like we got to stop using the word souls. Even if
But it use
even if you don't got a
SOLS.
U, even if you don't got a U, even if you don't got a U in there, still gotta do that. Yeah, and then when I look over the rest of the nominees, like there's nothing, egregious. There's certain like silly categories. One thing people couldn't understand is why the college football game wasn't nominated for best sports game. Which
I forgot
seemed
that
like the
came
only
out
sports
this
game
year.
this year, and it seemed like the only sports game I ever heard people talk about because they were like, finally, college football is back and it's
That's true.
good, and then it just didn't get nominated.
What did get nominated?
I don't know, a bunch of
Or do you have it pulled up?
butter trash. I do have it pulled up. F1 24, FC 25, FD 37, F1. The first two are real.
It's
F1 24 and
I was about
FC
to
25.
bug out. I'm like, what the
I
fuck?
was
And
bugging
FC
out.
25. So one's got cars, one's got soccer, NBA 2K, Top Spin 2K, and WWE 2K.
I
feel like
asked if we
also
could get code for
WWE
Top Spin.
Also, WWE is not in my opinion, that's a fighting game, not a sports game.
But wouldn't if a boxing game came out, that would be a fighting game and a sports game, right?
Oh, okay. So Undisputed goes no.
No, there's two separate categories. Would you
No,
put it in the fighting
Undisputed
game
probably
category?
doesn't belong in that category.
Would you call it a fighting
It's
game or a boxing game?
what I call what
Or
a fighting game.
or a sports game? Is
It's
a boxing
both.
game a fighting? Well, if there's a category for fighting game and a category for sport, that's part of also these categories are dumb because action adventure is like
Right. Yeah.
everything
It's
feels like an
everything.
adventure. And then they're like, well, but it's got some puzzle solving. I'm like, I spent a fucking hour doing puzzles in Black Ops 6. I wanted to get into all my drawers in my house. But yeah, I mean, good. I don't know, good guy. I scrolled down, like it was nice to see Unicorn Overlord and Kunitsugami getting best sim / strategy game noms. Like that was.
Oh, they got to go up against each other.
They do.
That's
I hope Unicorn Overlord wins. That game was.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh man, I've not been addicted to anything to that degree, other than maybe ZZZ. But like Unicorn Overlord felt bad. Like it felt like I was hurting myself.
Other than ZZZ.
I think
Incredible.
at this point for me, the controversies around the Game Awards are just as predictable as the Game Awards. Too many ads.
Honestly, I think
Not
it's
enough time with the developers. Too
I think
wrong of
it's just, like,
nominations.
a slowish news
Yeah.
period, and people are like, "Well, we gotta fucking do
Gotta
something."
be mad about
so let's
something.
just let's just be mad about this, and everyone will be mad about it, and then no one will give a shit. Do you think Elden Ring will win?
No,
It's a great question.
I don't think Shadow
I
of the
don't.
Erdtree will win that. No,
Yeah,
I do not
I
think
don't
it'll win.
I still
So what
think
do you
it'll
think- what
be.
do
I
you
still
think
think
will
it'll be Metaphor.
Yeah, what did I predict? Balatro, right? I
Yeah.
think Balatro will win Game of the Year.
years ago we predicted. There's no way we can remember. It was so long ago. I still think Final Fantasy will win.
Generally, one who says, "You think please wrap it up will make a comeback?" No, I don't think that will happen this year because that was meme to hell and it made the show look really
Yeah,
bad.
Jeff.
Yeah.
If anything, Jeff is pretty cognizant of the conversation. So,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think about the 5 picks for anticipated game? Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotai, GTA 6, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, and Monster Hunter Wilds.
Doesn't feel fair. Yeah, that category doesn't feel
There
fair.
should be just a category for Grand Theft Auto and then most anticipated game.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, it's got to be GTA 6.
yeah.
I mean, that game just literally they just print money with that thing.
Unless Jeff's about to read the envelope and just goes off script and says Death Stranding 2.
Yeah, he's just gonna say, "Look, I already know what the most anticipated game is, so here's the runner-up."
Yeah.
This is more exciting.
This is the only. There's none of these are objective except for this. Objectively, Grand Theft Auto 6 is collectively
Yeah.
the most anticipated game in the gaming industry. This is the only category that has a right answer. Also, best esports athlete is obviously Chovy.
Chody.
Who?
Chovy. I don't know. I believe their name. I wrote it down as Chovy. I don't know if that's a person or not. There's also Zhu and a faker, which I'm not sure if that's real or not. So all very
So-
interesting.
Well, at least we know. So we're not getting trending gamer of the year award because every time they do that, it turns out that person's bad.
Yeah.
Don't
Besides
say
Greg-
that.
besides-
That's
besides
probably
Greg-
that's
besides Greg Miller.
I
That's
think some
probably not
people have
that
wanted
true.
good ones. Yeah.
I think they did it like
And
4
yeah,
times.
they
in
trimmed.
3
They didn't
or 4.
add any categories, but they
Yeah.
trimmed a few. Trimmed a few. Well, there's content creator of the year, which is kind of like trending gamer.
wasn't
Um,
the reason for that because their whole like fresh on the block. I don't know what the category is called, but like new
freshman was it freshman class?
yes, whatever that thing is called, that category of just
future
new creators.
games class.
They all kind of banded
Right.
together to say, "Hey, we're not participating in this, or like we're gonna do something to show solidarity with the events in Gaza.
Yeah,
And
Jeff
and like that just kind of put Jeff in a position where he's like, I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, I need to pay my employees, so I'm gonna stick with the advertisers here.
Like as much as video games are art and are a vehicle for political conversations, like the Game Awards don't necessarily feel like the best place to make political statements.
Or if you do that, you have to go rogue and do it, right? Like
like
a handful of times,
individual protest.
Yeah,
like use it as a method to do your protest. That works. Well, don't ask Jeff, who is a piece of this corporate entity, to do the activism for you.
Yeah,
that's
activism. Think about that.
Activism.
You get to take photos of Bill Clinton in Black Ops 6. I'm just saying. Also, best esports game: Counter-Strike 2, Dota 2, League of Legends, Valorant. 4 games I've heard of. Makes perfect sense. 5th game: Mobile Legends Bang Bang.
I'm sorry, what?
Mobile Legends Bang Bang.
Mobile Legends Bang.
Mobile Legends Bang Bang. Honestly, this looks like some shit Casey would start playing.
No.
Yeah, you would play Mobile Legends Bang Bang.
I'm surprised Rainbow Six Siege isn't in that category for best esports game. Like, what did they do wrong, I wonder?
This is a gotcha game.
Mobile Legends Bang Bang.
Freaking Zenless Zone Zero is nominated for best mobile game.
No.
Mm-hmm.
Are you excited now?
No, because it's up against Balatro.
Oh no. I feel like if you are nominated for best game of the year, you're clearly gonna like sweep the under categories that don't have those. Yeah, just do you have any final Game Awards thoughts other than Animal Well was robbed? You know what? You know who didn't get any big noms? Nintendo. They got a couple like scraps thrown at them, like best family game. Here you go, babies.
Yeah. Because they really weren't active. Like, it's not a surprise.
No, they released a bunch of fine games this year. Like totally fine. For the 8th year of a console, you were fine. It's like you don't expect a lot. You don't expect a lot from your grandpa, like when they're like 90 years old. Like, just you didn't die this year. That's phenomenal.
Clap it up for grandpa.
Clap it up for grandpa.
Still hanging in there.
Let him fall asleep. Let him just sleep through dinner. It's fine. We don't need to call him to the table for the turkey. I'm assuming next year I would be willing to bet we'll have 1 or 2 Nintendo games nominated for Game of the Year. Honestly, probably winning. Whenever the Mario game is, the 3D Mario game next year will probably win Game of the Year a year from now. So if someone remember to clip this and then fucking a year from now when I'm right, we could all this stuff.
Did Odyssey launch with Switch?
No, it came out about 6 months later. Same calendar year. Switch launched with Breath of the Wild, and Odyssey came out in October. October 27th. I feel like
it's been a while, actually, since a console has launched with a Mario game.
Wii U had that shit like Mario Deluxe.
A 3D Mario game.
Yeah, but a 3D Mario game, no, it's been since 64. I guess it happened once.
Oh, I did.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I did put out a post on Blue Sky about an interesting thing I noticed is that basically on the Game of the Year nominations, besides Balatro, all Japanese or Chinese developers. Then when I looked at, and Eric, maybe you can pull up my Blue Sky post with the Metacritic. I looked through like the top 25 games of the year, almost all from Japanese and Chinese developers as well in there, indie games. And the only like Western AAA games in there were remakes or the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster in the top 25 of the Metacritic of the year. It's like it's kind of a damning indictment of the current Western AAA market.
Yeah, but I think things move in ebbs and flows. Last year, 4 of the 6 nominees, literally going to our last 2 points. The 6 nominees were Alan Wake 2, Western Dev, Baldur's Gate 3, Western Dev, Resi 4 Remake. Oh, not a Western Dev. Spider-Man 2, Western Dev, and then 2 Nintendo games in Mario Wonders and Zelda. Also, last year, all 6 of those games part of long-running franchises.
Yeah.
Whereas
that's kind
this
of the
year,
thing too, is like
several new IP, which is nice.
Yeah. That's kind of my point. Is like it's either long-running franchises that get nominated for Western. Because like, when's the last time like a big new original IP was nominated for Western Dev?
Well, what's the last time they released one?
Yeah, Horizon 2017.
Yeah, that's right.
Ghost of Tsushima probably in 2020.
Yeah. So Sony. Microsoft, you got some work to do.
They've been doing that work for so long.
Guys, you wait till next year.
It's
Wait till
coming.
next year.
It's
I
all the
keep telling
way.
you. South of Midnight, Hachimachi. There you go.
Well, that looks so good.
That game
looks
does look
really
really
good.
good. I
looks-
hope the gameplay holds up because some of the previews were a bit lower on the gameplay, but
Yeah, like
some-
I honestly
some of the
had no
previews were-
faith in Compulsion. Like they've not produced good stuff up to this point, but South of Midnight looks really freaking good, and like I was fully sold in terms of anticipation based on that dev doc they released. It looks like they're putting a lot of effort into it, so I do hope that comes out and is a treat.
their first game, Contrast, was an indie hit.
I like.
Oh,
I like
actually,
Contrast.
yeah, I never played Contrast.
Yeah, that was a PS4 launch game or an Xbox
Yeah.
One launch game. Launched with one of those big fucking blocks.
Yeah, we Happy Few just kind of was one of those games that suffered development trouble, but also like immediate comparisons to BioShock. And when
Well, they
wasn't
released that demo that was not going to be what the game was about. And everyone was
Yeah.
like, "Oh shit, that game's cool!" And they're like, "I guess
It looks just like BioShock.
yeah."
Mhm.
Yeah, it's funny. Bunch of super chats came in. A lot of them related to this. I believe in Doo Doo Man with a $2 dono. Thank you so much. Overwatch Classic is back. It's 2016, and Erdtree winning. It could. It was really good. Erdtree was really good. I don't want this to be a thing. We shouldn't take this out on Erdtree. This isn't Erdtree's fault. Erdtree, this isn't FromSoft did everything they fucking knocked it out of the park. The one fault might be you got to make it easier to get your DLCs. As someone who played like hundreds of hours in Elden Ring, like you got to just have it be from a menu. Like, what are we doing?
Casey, you were an Overwatch player. Have you gone back to try the 2016 stuff?
I have been tempted, but no,
Yeah.
I have not gone back.
Yeah.
It is bad. I remember early Overwatch, and they did change a lot of shit that was bad at the time, like the ability to like just pick the same character for like all 6 slots of your team.
Yeah, that's what I saw on social media. Like people were like, "Oh, this isn't great." I don't. There's a reason the game evolved from this point.
Yeah, like it got much better in like those post launch
Yeah.
days, but like it is a fun sort of like time capsule to look at that sort of nonsense.
Yeah, Fortnite just brought back their original stuff too, and it comes with a separate battle pass. Like,
Oh my god.
how much money do you need, Epic? What are you doing? Call of
The
Duty's gonna
Overwatch
do
one
that
is-
now. Call of Duty's gonna absolutely do that now. Just you watch.
Yeah, the Overwatch one is temporary. That Fortnite thing sounds like they're gonna keep it.
They are, yeah. It's here to stay, and it gets its own battle pass.
It's funny.
Jeez.
WoW did the same thing with Vanilla WoW Classic or whatever. Like,
Yep.
yeah, I think people are just always nostalgic. Like the grass is always greener kind of thing. Like maybe rose tinted glasses, everything. But yeah, Inverse Guys with 15 Australian dollars. Thank you so much, Inverse Guys. We need a DLC definition. Does an expansion pack like StarCraft Brood War constitute a separate game? Is it just DLC? Can DLC be considered a separate game? If not, shouldn't be nominated. That's the thing, is everyone's definition for all this shit is different. That's why it's always funny when people get mad and argue, because then you get into their arguments and their arguments are different. And so it's like, we can get over this hill and then there'd just be another hill to argue on.
To me, there's DLC, which would be like a new map pack for Halo. Then there's expansions, which would be like Burning Shores for Horizon Forbidden West or Shadow of the Erdtree. And then there's standalone expansions like Miles
Spider-Man,
Morales. Yeah. Where you don't need to have the base game to play that game. But it's basically a whole new game, I guess.
I think these awards are all about vibes.
Yeah.
I think they're all about
And
vibes.
money.
And money.
And money.
Yeah, but that's the thing, is no one will ever agree on these definitions.
They don't have to. Just know that I'm right. And then there's
Can't be
microtransactions
true.
like horse armor.
That can't be true. Microtransactions. Can't believe they allowed microtransaction back. William Gibbs with a $5 dono. Thank you so much, William. If you feel Erdtree should count, ask yourself if Shadow of the Erdtree would be valid if base Elden Ring had been less good. Also, 25th Trans Day of Remembrance. Is that on the 25th, or today is the 25th Trans Day of Remembrance?
I think I saw on social media was today.
Oh, okay. I'm not. Maybe this is the 25th, but yeah, that's great. Happy Trans Day of Remembrance. I'm not going to ask myself that. I'm not going to live in a hypothetical world where fucking Elden Ring didn't rule, because Elden Ring ruled. That's the world I want to live in.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's making the argument that Elden Ring didn't rule.
Again, Elden Ring is a victim here. Its parents are fighting, and the child is the one who's suffering for this. Elden Ring is the child. Yeah. And yes, award shows are jazz. That's exactly how award shows work. Like,
Based
what
on
other
feeling.
DLC should have been done? What other situation? I guess last year, Cyberpunk.
Yeah, it seems like the Cyberpunk thing feels the most similar to what's
Yeah.
happening with Erdtree. And that won something, didn't it?
I think it won best
ongoing-
expansion or ongoing or
I
something.
think it won
Best
ongoing game. Because I remember, I think it was ongoing game because we were like, what?
So then why? So then that's what confuses and muddies this stuff, right? So then why isn't Erdtree in the category for best ongoing game if you're looking at it like that?
Because
the
they
judges nominated it.
enough people didn't play it. Whereas like Elden Ring, it's partly a popularity contest of who's played these games.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's unlike the Oscars. I mentioned this on Monday. Unlike the Oscars, where so many of the winners and the nominees tend to come out right at the end of the year, like in the fall and winter prestige awards season. In games, shit comes out all across the year, and honestly, coming out earlier might benefit because people have time to play these things. Like people had time to play Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. If you go back a couple years, games like Zelda Breath of the Wild and God of War 2018 and The Last of Us Part 2 all released in the first half of the year, which meant people had like 9 to 6 months to play these things, which is good.
Not too early, right?
You don't want too early,
Because then they forget entirely.
Because then people are like, what about Like a Dragon? And I was like, that can't have been this year. There's no way that was this year. And then there's also always the silly thing of there's a cutoff. So if Indiana Jones comes out and is a fucking banger, but too bad. Think about it next year. No, I'm not gonna be thinking about it next year. I'm gonna be thinking about new games next year. So, yeah. Metal Synapse with $5 If they called it Elden Ring 2 and released it separately, would you consider it GOTY material, even if it was the same engine and assets?
I would not.
I mean, it's also not my favorite game of the year.
But also same engine and assets being like, and then sticking a 2 on it. That's fine. Like that's normal. Like that's usually what happens with sequels.
Yeah.
Like the issue with this is that you can't do that with this game because it's sewn into the middle of the first game in such a way that like you can't separate them in that way.
Yeah, they're like conjoined twins.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure one of the bosses in Elden Ring is a set of conjoined twins. And they probably killed me so many fucking times. John Lee, been a member for a year. Thank you so much, John Lee. I can tell you a non-controversial snub I feel strongly about. Content Creator of the Year. Where's my second wind? By the way, HBD Party. Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think if Java had released his Metal Gear video a little sooner, could have been on there. Go watch that thing. Go share that thing.
Nick, I already watched it. I already shared it. Stop yelling at me.
I'm going to send you a strongly worded letter now.
Oh, no. I don't know how to read.
Written.
Joel Rowell, thank you so much for a €2 dono. Ooh, Aga. Stalker 2 is buggy, but damn fun as heck. What do you think that Ooh, Aga was? Was it like a horn?
I think they're horny for Stalker 2's graphics.
Ooh, Aga.
Aga.
It is pretty. I'm gonna be honest. I got some Stalker 2 bugs already, and I'm still in the fucking ROP zone.
It's I was hoping it wasn't going to be that or the case with that, but I think much like Cyberpunk, I will wait until I hear it is ready to play. Well, aside from streaming it tomorrow, I don't have a choice. But when I want to play it on my own time,
Rip. And then Sovereign with a €50 dono. Thank you so much, Sovereign. Hachi. Was listening to this while walking the dog and had to run home to send this. How dare you compare Half-Life 2 to a goddamn Halo game? You will be hearing from my lawyers, sir. What's next? Comparing The Godfather Part 2 to Transformers Revenge of the Fallen.
That is not a fair comparison at all.
Much like Yahtzee probably threw his food across the room. You didn't kick your dog, did you?
Also, that's not fair because Coppola was able to make a Godfather Part 3, and God knows Valve can't. So, so there you go. Comparing Halo 2 to Transformers Revenge of the Fallen.
Halo 2 is not some like big dumb action flick. Halo 2 was like a masterpiece of a video game. We're not going to rewrite history here and try to play Halo 2. That game was a phenomenal video game.
Yeah, I'll let KC gloat over it for this time instead of me.
It was
I love Halo 2, and like the truth is, like it's a really good, like it was the kind of game that when it released, it changed a lot about everything about video games. Like Half-Life 2 did that. Well, Half-Life did that. And then Halo, got the ground running. Halo 2 did that. Right. So like over Half-Life 2, like Half-Life 1 was the game changer. Half-Life 2 was more of the same. Halo 2 was the game changer. So I look at it that way.
Boom.
Also, then Halo 3 came out, and it was also good. And you're like, are these games just going to keep getting better? And the answer was no, they will not. They will start.
Why are you going to hurt me like this?
They're going to start getting worse right now.
Well,
it was wild. It was like, oh, you're just going to keep getting better. You're like Nintendo. You're just going to keep getting better. No.
Don't forget about Reach. Reach was a good swan song.
Yeah, Reach was good. Also, ODST was good. Like it was a really unique experience in that universe.
Big fan of ODST.
No,
it was almost like Bungie was really good in making those games.
Yeah. And it was kind of just like Valve looked at Halo 2 and was like, let's just copy this all for Half-Life 2. And that's what they did. Halo 2 came out, and Valve's like, all right, we still got like a week or two before Half-Life 2 comes out. Let's just try to copy all the good elements.
And Marty, you were trying to get clipped out of context and destroyed on the internet.
Man, whatever. Half-Life 2 is boring. You see, I had to stream the whole goddamn thing.
Oh, man.
It's boring. Metroid Prime rules. We should be playing. Metroid Prime's way better than Half-Life 2.
Was it Half-Life 2 or was it Half-Life 2 Episode 1 that was boring?
2 was good. Episode 1 is bad. Episode 2 is pretty. Yeah.
Episode 2 is boring.
Yeah. Episode 1 is boring.
Episode 1 is
boring. From this conversation. I'm not part of this.
Half-Life 2 proper is good. Episode 1 is bad. Episode 2 is good.
Yeah, I'm forgetting which one, but yeah, one of those like sequel games was like legit bad and boring.
Yeah.
And I think it was 2 Episode 1.
Unlike Halo, never had a bad game in its franchise. Fat Cock with a $20
dono. Into the
Uh,
darkness from that combo.
Go get your DP while we talk about Fat Cock. Fat Cock with a $20 dono. Thank you so much. Don't let the fact that Usada Pecora is nominated for Content Creator of the Year distract you from the fact that she bought a monkey.
What?
Huh?
Usada Pecora, I believe, is a VTuber who I think Kojima took a picture with the other day, which I'm not sure how any of that works because they're not real. They're like pictures, but Kojima has a picture with her. Apparently, she bought a monkey.
Great.
Which streamer is going to Twitch streamer?
I mean, you said don't let the fact distract you from the fact she bought a monkey. Like, is buying a monkey supposed to be a bad thing? Because, like,
yeah, is that a crime where she's at?
Yeah, I'm like on a character level. I think buying a monkey, assuming you're taking care of it, is pretty cool.
Probably better than that streamer that was driving their Ferrari or something like that, McLaren, and crashed it on the highway because they were trying to stream and drive.
Oh, yeah,
they were trying to avoid Usada Pecora's monkey that had ran out in the middle of the road. It's a meme, says Fat Cock. I don't understand any of that. I don't know what's going on. This is weird. These were the first time I ever said any of these words.
Yeah, that also didn't look like a monkey in the picture that Eric is putting up. Like someone in chat said that's a lemur. Yeah, like that didn't look like a monkey.
I don't listen. People just pay us, and I just fucking read it. I don't know what's going on.
I thought lemurs only existed in the movie Dinosaur.
Lemurs do not only exist in the movie Dinosaurs. I can attest.
Do you own one in that broken closet of yours, Marty? We talked about this morning. What do you have in there?
It's just a bunch of like boxes and shit, and old clothes, and some puzzle
boxes full of lemurs.
Yeah. What does anyone have in a closet? Is anyone's closet interesting?
That's why he's got that cord up in the ceiling, KC, because the lemurs are climbing up there.
Oh, it's so I can get my football because I need to watch the big tackling men get their tantrums. Which is insane because I have like several better TVs in this house than the one in this office. And Snake of the Garden, been in the tip jar for 12 months. Thank you so much, Snake. HBD to your tip jar. Okay. FromSoft story number 2. So news went out over the weekend, late Sunday night, and then was confirmed by both parties that Sony, the company Sony, not PlayStation, the company Sony is interested in purchasing Kadokawa, which is the Japanese company that has a shit ton of tentacles and fingers in a bunch of different pies. Those pies are huge in the anime world, including the anime, the manga, the light novel industry, Cloverworks and A1. They own Nico Nico, which is like Japanese YouTube. They also own majority stake in several video game companies, including Acquire, who were the developers of Mario and Luigi Brothership, Spike Chunsoft, who developed like Danganronpa and stuff like that, and FromSoft, who made Shadow of the Earth Tree. Look at us. We tied it all together. And it sounds like this might be happening. That this might be.
Was it about 6 or so months ago that we were hearing something similar to this? Like Sony was like fishing for like an acquisition of specifically FromSoft, but everything was coming back saying like, no, they can't do that because Kadokawa owns them. So like it would be a conversation between Kadokawa and Sony, and FromSoft doesn't have interest in, like, they wouldn't have interest in being, you know, like tied to a single platform because of like the success of things like Elden Ring, right?
Yeah.
So this now coming up feels like, okay, so maybe there was some validity to that, but also like, does that still stand? Like, does FromSoft have any say at all in this? Like, I don't know what their relationship, like what their contract is like, if they're able or have the potential to, like, say, buy themselves out of a deal like this if they don't want to be part of it, or if it's like, well, they just go with everything else and Sony gets full control of one of the most prolific video game developers in the industry today.
So obviously, I think to us, the FromSoft thing is the most interesting aspect of it. I do think for Sony, they want the anime portion of this because Sony already owns Crunchyroll and vis-a-vis Funimation.
Yeah, they acquired that not that long ago.
Yeah, Aniplex. Like, this would be almost this feels like it would be a monopoly on that entire industry. And from what I've heard, some of Kadokawa's practices in their companies are anti-artist, are kind of let's squeeze these creators for as much blood as we can, and let's, you know, while they're like young and naive, we can get them to sign contracts, and that'll give us full control over his IP that we can then spread everywhere else. And so at this point, like, this would ostensibly feel like a monopoly over an entire medium, which isn't good, which is bad.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
Yeah.
But this is a deal between two Japanese companies.
Correct.
Right? So like, this has nothing to do with like US law, FTC. Like, what entities exist to combat this? Like, are there any? Like, is there like pushback in terms of like government regulation to stop a monopoly like this in the making?
If I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I don't know if we have like a point of comparison for this. And I also admittedly do not know. I don't know American law. Definitely don't know Japanese law. But yeah, I mean, all the things I was reading, it just sounds like this is like moving
like
through.
If,
yeah,
like if they wanted
the
to happen, like it'll
of,
just happen, right? Like,
yeah, I don't know like what the equivalent of like antitrust laws are over there, or if like the government will step in at any point. So yeah, that's the, you know, the anime portion of it. But the games portion, yeah, would be FromSoftware, which no, I don't want anyone buying FromSoftware. I want FromSoftware to not be owned by anyone. I think in a perfect world, they would gain autonomy and like almost like IO Interactive, you know, where they like bought their freedom from Square Enix after the Hitman.
That's got to be a conversation they're having, because after Elden Ring, I mean, their games are guaranteed sale at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
or
like
if
you would want to keep them happy, right? And like this has a potential to rock the boat in a way that they may not be comfortable with.
Yeah. It's also crazy because like FromSoft feels like one of the few studios who've managed to like run a AAA company that produces games in a relatively timely manner of pretty high quality. You know, so many of these other teams, as we moved into this the past 10 years of gaming, all of a sudden they're taking 5, 6, 7 years, an entire generation to make a thing, or it comes out and it's middling, or it feels trend chasing instead of trend setting, where despite some people's thoughts on Dark Souls 2, like FromSoft has just the Dark Souls trilogy, Bloodborne, Sekiro, Elden Ring, and Armored Core, just
Armored
like
Core
all
now, too.
fucking beloved. And Elden Ring like is mainstream, broken in the mainstream. The normies know about it. So yeah, I'm not thrilled if this goes through. You know, not knowing the specifics of what would happen. Obviously, Sony would be thrilled. Like this would be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, real nice feather in their cap of
Basically
acquisitions.
picking up the rock star of the Japanese games industry.
Yeah.
And I want to point out that this, because prior to this, like the big acquisition stuff was Microsoft and Activision Blizzard, right? And the energy around that was very different from us, from other critics and whatnot. The reason for that, I think, is specifically because of the existence of Game Pass. Like the ability for the stuff that they're acquiring to essentially show up in a package for consumers to get easy access to, and the history with Microsoft of acquiring like very, very big franchises and keeping them multi-platform, like Minecraft, kind of gave people also like the bad stink around Blizzard and Activision specifically, like their leadership and whatnot, like just a shakeup of that nature. All of that kind of lined up to make it feel like this was a good thing, even though, you know, ultimately all like giant corporate acquisitions are not great. But like it still felt like this was a good choice given the circumstances. Like Sony's version of this, it feels like all the options are bad. It's like what is the upside for anyone involved in this particular sort of acquisition?
I mean,
like it feels like it's harder to see if there's any.
I think there was more interest and excitement around the acquisitions before all these layoffs started happening. You know, like, and the complete failure of Concord and the shutting down of Firewalk and the way that Bungie has been handled.
Yeah, the Bungie thing like really sticks out.
Yeah, even though Bungie has a lot of its own internal issues, and you know, Sony's I don't know, taking advantage of that to take more control or whatnot, but. Yeah, I mean, like FromSoftware is just doing fine. I think it's just one of those studios where like, don't mess with them. Just let them do their thing. Where like a lot of the studios that Xbox and Sony picked up have been kind of like, they're good. They could be better. This may work out better. It may not. Like, you know, there's not as much certainty, I think, around those studios that Xbox and Sony picked up compared to, you know, FromSoftware, where it's just, yeah, they're reliable studio. You can produce quality content, and corporate meddling. That.
I'm gonna be real though. How funny would it be if Sony bought From and elevated Miyazaki to like a Herman Hulst level, to where he got to come into every game and just give the weirdest advice? Like comes into like Spider-Man 3 and is like, this character should laugh strangely for 15 seconds. No, don't explain why. And then it's like, we're making a new Last of Us game. Don't put any of the story in the game. No, it's just in items. You just got to read the items. No, Vati will take care of it though. He'll make the story for you. How great would that be? Like fucking Horizon 3 has patches kicking you in the ass, like down a dino well.
Every game would have some sort of poison swamp in it.
Oh my god!
At every
but they need them. If we're being honest, they need them.
No, they don't.
Multiplayer that just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I would love it.
All the DLC requires 40 hours of gameplay.
It is kind of funny though, like, thinking of like Herman Hulst right now though, and just like we've talked about it a couple of times, the absolute focus on the Horizon IP.
Yeah.
And now that Lego Horizon game just apparently is not very good.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, is it?
I haven't heard great things about it now.
I haven't heard anyone say anything about it. I forget that game came out, if I'm being honest.
It sounds like it's like a kid's game that's even too easy for kids.
It's the Avatar of the video game world.
Oh no.
Last Airbender or
no, definitely not Last Airbender. Because Last Airbender is beloved.
Is it $2 billion beloved?
No, money's money. Money's not love.
As far as from software goes, like, yeah, I have to imagine they're definitely having conversations about buying themselves out of that contract if that's an option for them.
Again, I don't know if this is a thing they can do.
No,
Yeah, like it may not even be an option, but it's also it's like Marty says, like they've done no wrong. It's in everyone's best interest to leave them alone, even if they come along with this deal. They might just leave them alone. They might just be like, do whatever you want to do. Yes, we'll release it on anything you want to release it on.
What if this is a real monkey's paw where it's like, this is the only way we'll give you Bloodborne on PS5 and PC?
Oh man!
Like Sony went all the way up to Kadokawa to force them to give another Bloodborne.
This is how we get Bloodborne on PC. And then Fat Cock with a $10 dono. Thank you so much. The Japanese competition law consists of Anti-Monopoly Act, the Dokusen Kenshio, AMA, officially the act on prohibition of private monopolization and maintenance of fair trade. I said all the words. I don't know what they mean, but I said them. I said all of them, including the quote AMA, which I don't know what that is. What's going on over there?
No, but that's good information because I will look up more on that.
You know, look at that. Get into bird law, maritime law, Japanese law. 3 laws you need to learn. Get yourself out of every pickle. Bird law. Bird law is very important.
Why did we need to look up bird law? Did I miss that part?
Wait 3.5 years from now, and you're going to know once the birds take over. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying.
What are you saying? Is my question.
Just saying.
I feel like I just left the conversation,
right? Like,
and my head came back into it, and now I have no idea where we are.
Guys, hear me out. I'm just saying.
I'm hungry.
I'm pretty hungry too, for being honest. You know what? Let's talk about what we've been playing. What we does anyone have any final thoughts? Did anyone have any final thoughts? Philadelphia School of Bird Law. There you go. That's where we're gonna go. Any final thoughts on this before we move on to the stuff we've been playing?
Bloodborne on PC and 60 frames update on PS5. Make it happen.
Then we'll all forgive you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sony also owns, I believe, does Sony own Illumination, the Minions studio? Can we get the Minions team making?
That doesn't sound right.
I just make that up.
I don't think they own Illumination because they have their own animation studio.
Well,
Universal Pictures and NBC own Illumination.
Great.
Fact checked.
Why'd you say it like that?
like he did a turnaround behind the back slam dunk.
Yeah, like it was being right over me isn't a dunk. I'm wrong so often. Like that's not a win for you.
Going back to the early days of Snopes.
Okay, let's talk about what we've been playing. What we've been playing. Casey, let's start with you. Let's stick on this FromSoft train. Because I heard you had a dilly of a pickle of an Armored Core 6 stream.
Oh. Yeah, I've been left alone these past 2 weeks because my fiance is traveling. So instead of our wedding stream last Friday, I just played a smattering of games that are in my backlog. I've still not finished Armored Core 6, but I went back after several months to basically just go into just late Armored Core 6 levels, and that was a bit of a mistake. Like I forgot how to play the game for like the first 20 minutes.
Sure.
But once I did get my bearings, goddamn, is that game so hard as shit?
So hard.
It's so hard. And we already know this about how that game functions. Like the levels are like real baby mode. It's like practice for you to like just see what your mech setup does, and then you get like a cool checkpoint, and then the actual game is the boss fight, and that's what took literally like 2 hours of the stream was me just beating my head against this fight. And they punish you by saying whatever you show up with, you have to fight with. Like if you want to change your loadout to try and adapt to what that scenario is after you now know what it is, you have to back out and do the whole level before it again. But you guys know me. Like I'm not leaving. I'm good. Whatever I have on hand is what I have on hand. So yeah, it took about 2 hours some change. What boss was it even? It wasn't even like a big named boss. It was a scenario where a bunch of enemies dropped. One in particular was especially difficult. Like he was just one of those fast moving guys who was about my size. But then there was also a massive like mothership in the sky that had this awesome freaking laser attack that like just destroyed everything that was on the field before these other guys dropped, and then was shooting at me from far in the distance while I was fighting the other guy the whole time. So like that was a bitch. So. But like that oh my god, that game is so cinematic. It feels so effing good to play. If it didn't take me like as long as it did to go through that, like I probably would have just stuck with it. But I figured I would just change pace because because I was streaming to people, and so I didn't want them to see me continuously do the same thing over and over again. But goddamn, Armored Core 6 is amazing. I'm gonna finish it.
They love that. They love when I do that in Sekiro. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I guess like games like this, like in this,
they like watching you suffer. That's what they're here for. They're here to watch us be in pain and suffer all the time.
I guess. And it is fun. Like that's the thing. It's fun the whole way through. Like you'll hear me cursing and yelling when I die. But like it's so
that's why you
fun.
played it when you were alone. So you can scream at the top of your lungs.
But it's still fun. Like it's still fun. Like that challenge of being pushed back, but then knowing I have to do better and what can I do better? And like here's my strategy. Let me execute it. Like that does not get old to me. So like even yes, it's the same encounter and I'm trying it again and again and again. Like that, like chasing that feeling, like it's a real high that FromSoft has absolutely perfected. And again, shout out to Nine Souls because they replicate that in bite-sized package, and like they're not being recognized for it.
Oh no,
not enough anyway.
It's your tunic this year, isn't it?
It's my new tunic.
Oh, speaking of Casey,
but yeah, after
trailer for
after finishing up that.
Oh no, for the Sifu secret levels, the secret level episode on Sifu, not Sifu.
Oh no, okay, no, I did not.
Looks sick as hell.
Yeah, I can imagine that would be really sick. They did like a live action thing when the game first launched, and that was also like pretty good.
Yeah. What else did you play? /watch?
But yeah, after closing that up, I jumped back to Space Marine 2 as well. I only really like played the opening level for that in order to do that co-op stream that we did, which was a good time. Mm-hmm. So I went back to see how that game's hanging. It's fun. Like not that much more to say about it. Like I don't know what's going on in that game world. Like it is not an interesting story whatsoever. But it is it's really fun, like horde fighting mechanics, like shooting and attacking, like the way they mix in like parrying and blocking and like melee combat alongside that. It's just fun and it works really, really well. Like it's very, very polished feeling. And while it's fun solo, I think that game shines in co-op. Like you're not going to get the same level of experience if you just play that whole campaign solo. So like that's something I would like to like do with a group of friends or whatever the whole way through, and that'd probably be the best way to get through it.
Have you played much of Dark Tide?
A little bit, very little.
If you like the craziness of the Space Marine, you would love Dark Tide probably.
That makes sense. Yeah, that game feels really good too, if I remember correctly.
It's got Yes for Kids soundtrack in it, and it's so fucking good. I listen to that in the car when I need to get hyped up for pickleball, like a weirdo.
That's not how I thought that sentence would end. But yeah, that's all I've been playing really. I finished, also in my backlog, I finished the Netflix series Disenchantment, which was the Matt Groening series, which is essentially Futurama, but in fairy tale land. Like that's how I like to describe that show. It's like using the same playbook, but just a very different setting. And when this first launched several years ago on Netflix, I don't think people were very high on it. It got 5 seasons, and I got to season 3 before I took a break. But just randomly, I decided to go back and finish it up and forgot literally everything that happened in the season before. So I rewatched season 3, which I rarely do, but it was a pretty easy, quick watch, and I just binged through 4 and 5. And I really like this show. Like Disenchantment is not as good as Futurama, but it feels close enough. In that like I still really like all the characters. It has a lot of very funny secondary characters that reoccur throughout the show. And the thing with like the main difference I want to say between Futurama and Disenchantment is like Futurama, for the most part, is episodic. Like they'll just go on wacky space adventures every episode. Mm-hmm. Disenchantment follows like a narrative that like builds and builds and builds, and it has a lot of like fun twists. There's a lot of like character building and stuff that happens over the course of it, but the pacing is way off. Like you'll get a bunch of episodes in the middle of a season that feel like they don't know what to do yet, or like they're waiting for something to happen while characters are like spending time talking to each other, or like it just felt like they had a little too much time to get their story done in certain places. And that really kind of tanks the momentum, because there are good sections where it's like, oh, this is a build up and this is a good payoff to the stuff that was happening. But like they feel a little further further in between than they should in a lot of cases. It also does something that one of my favorite sitcoms of all time does really, really well, which is Arrested Development, where like it builds on running jokes in a way where like certain sets of running jokes will then run into new ones and then become new running jokes.
Yeah.
So like they do that sort of thing. And it's one of my favorite kinds of ways jokes exist in like a continuous thing. And like comparing it to Arrested Development doesn't feel fair because that's probably like just a masterclass in that sort of thing. Theirs is less good, but it's okay. You know what I mean? Like it's fun for what it is. So like by the end of the series, they do wrap up a lot of like the story threads. A lot of characters like get proper endings. They have a running joke where like there's a character who like comes out of his window and like will complain about all of the running plot holes that have not been resolved yet. So like they're very fourth wall breaky like that. And like it. They introduce characters at such a clip. Like you'll get a brand new character who's been around the whole time, and then all of a sudden they're like very important to the story, and now they have dialogue, and now they're running around with the main cast, and now they have like it, and like that sort of stuff feels out of left field, but they still make those characters likable. Like so, like now that you know who this character is, they are part of the team, even though like they kind of showed up at the last second, but not really because they've been in the background the whole time. It feels like what The Simpsons has done over decades of like you see these characters around, but because they're in season 27, Lenny gets a whole episode to himself.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. But like they did it in like a much more condensed manner. So like it feels a little strange, but like ultimately it did leave me feeling like really, really positive on the show. So like I'm a fan.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I think, that's actually not it for me. I started a new Hulu series, actually just dropped very recently. All of it's out, so I'm binging it right now. I'm not done yet. But Interior Chinatown.
Yeah, a couple people have recommended this to me. I have not watched it yet, though.
Yeah, it's a real high concept series where essentially like you're playing a guy who like is not down his luck, but like is kind of bored of his life, and he wants to be part of something bigger. Like he's the Chinese kid living in Chinatown, working in a Chinese restaurant. But the truth of the world is that he's a background character in like a police procedural. So like on TV, he'll see like these two cops who are like rock star superstars and like well known to everybody, and those are the main characters of the show he's a background character in. Mm-hmm. But no one addresses the fact that it's a TV show. Everyone seems sort of like they're like just close enough to realize that something's wrong with the way things happen. And like the show does really cool visual aids where like the lead detectives or whatever, that's what they call them, showed up at the Chinese restaurant and all the lighting changes. Like all the lights in the restaurant like go off and then come back, and it's like sort of blue fluorescent light. And then they go in there, they're doing their lines, and they're ignoring all the people in there because those people don't matter to their scene that's happening. And like they can watch that happening and they can try to say something to them, but they'll just be ignored, and like they won't know or understand why. And like, or he'll try to break out of the fact that he's a background character, like something's happening out on the street, but it's not for him to be involved in. So him trying to go outside to like see what's going on, the door is just inexplicably locked. And like, and there's no explanation for that. Like they don't, like they're aware, like that's weird that the door was locked, but like they don't like go and say like, why was the door locked? Like, how do we figure this out? Like they're working around like the limitations of the world because he is trying to become a bigger part of the story. So like he'll find a way to be like, all right, well, I can't get into the police station, but I work at a Chinese food restaurant. So what if I pretended to deliver food? Like that would be a logical reason why someone like me would be here. And then that sort of logical conclusion will allow him to enter places where he's not supposed to be. And so it's him figuring out stuff like that, but still never really addressing the fact that like this is a TV show, right? Like that just lives in the meta world. And like we all know. Yeah. But like the characters themselves are just kind of working with these rules, which it's a really interesting series. And like the regular story that's happening is a bit of a sort of cut and dry mystery. Like that doesn't feel anywhere near as interesting as this sort of meta concept. But I'm hoping that they'll converge at some point and become a better part of a stronger part of the narrative. Because like I like what the premise is, but like that story feels very secondary to all of this meta happenings.
Yeah. It got I mean it's based on a book that came out a couple of years ago that won like a shit ton of awards and came out like the first year of COVID, and the author of it is like the showrunner and main writer.
Charles Wu.
Charles Yu, I think. Yeah. But who is also apparently writing, because this is produced by Taika Waititi.
Yes.
And he's Taika said he's writing the screenplay for Taika's upcoming Akira movie, which I still don't think will ever happen, but we'll see. Maybe we shouldn't do a live action Akira. What if we just keep Akira as an anime? What if we did that?
Yeah, I don't think we need a live action
cool.
Akira.
Yeah. We already got that sick motorcycle slide. Nope. That's fine. That's the closest thing. We don't need to go anywhere else. We got the sick motorcycle slide. But yeah, that's cool. This is out now. I'm excited to watch this. I feel like
all episodes are out, so you can binge it immediately on Hulu.
Hell yeah. Cool. Anything else?
Nope. That's it for me.
Ed, Nick, what have you been playing?
Well, after I finished Resident Evil 4 remake last 2 weeks ago, last week, I don't know. Time's a construct. I've been working on more survival horror games. So I've been making my way through Silent Hill 2 remake because I had started it when it came out, and then other stuff came up, so I stopped it. So I just got done. I'm in the prison section now, which boy is that kind of spooky. That part.
Jumped down any holes?
Yeah, I'm at 2 now. The game continuously gets more intense the farther you get into it, which I like my horror games like that. Because like Dead Space starts off really intense.
Oh no, it's Pyramid Head.
No, my
manifestation of Nick Skilled.
It's Barry squeaking his toy over there. Dead Space for me, like Dead Space starts off very intense, and as you go through the game, like you kind of get used to it, and things like don't keep getting weirder.
And you also get like stronger and more abilities too. So
yeah. Silent Hill 2 like does a really good job of it's intense starting out, and then it kind of slows down a bit. You know, the first dungeon, if you want to call it that, you know, you start learning the mechanics of the game and all that in the combat, and the game over time just kind of keeps getting more and more intense. And one of the things I really like, I haven't played the original, but one of the things I really like about the remake is the game continually keeps taking things away from you, specifically the light of the game, and especially in the remake, once you get out of the hospital and into the streets, holy moly, with ray tracing, does that look good? Like I don't know, Marty, you've obviously played through all of it, but I don't know if you played it with ray tracing or anything on the PlayStation, but
I mean, I played on this little I played it all on stream, so it was on this piece of shit monitor. The way games are meant to be played on a piece of shit monitor in this room.
This is like one of those games where like having ray tracing makes a big difference, because all of the light and everything bounces around. So when you're running through the streets and like a light is flickering in the corner, you see it like reflecting off the cars and off the puddles and everything. It's really, really atmospheric. Like nothing.
Yeah, no, it's a great looking game.
Yeah, nothing quite like it, especially when you're going down into the prison for the first time. Like, man. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It feels like I'm getting pretty close to wrapping it up. I'm assuming this is the last section of the game.
No, you're past the halfway point. You're probably like 2/3 through. There's one biggish prison is very long, and then there's one biggish dungeon afterwards.
Cool. Yeah, I'm having a good time with it. But the other game I'm playing is obviously directly inspired by it. Signalis. Finally repicked that up. I tried it a couple different times. I guess I never really sat with it and got stuck with it. So I've been playing. Basically, I play Silent Hill 2 on my computer, and I go upstairs on my Steam Deck and keep play Signalis until I fall asleep. It's been really cool.
Just having the weirdest nightmares.
Yeah, pretty much. Just lots of weird stuff going on. But it's been cool, like seeing the design of Signalis and reflected straight from Silent Hill, and even the save screen and all that's obviously inspired by it and everything.
Yeah.
So it plays similar, you're saying, or like it was inspired by, like, does it copy like gameplay mechanics?
I mean, it's survival horror, so you know they all share those types of mechanics. But like Signalis definitely plays with light. the way like Silent Hill does, and kind of narratively has a lot of echoes of Silent Hill, I think. And I'm not too far into Signalis. I think I'm only in like chapter 2. If there's chapters.
I never finished it. Not I'm not liking it. Just shit got busy, and I need to go back and
yeah.
I was wondering if I should try this because this was like a more modern representation of those older horror games that I've never played or seemed to like get into.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wondering if this was something that would appeal to me, actually.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Like it's incredibly atmospheric. Weirdly, like for most like top down kind of horror stuff like this, I never actually get like really immersed and like tense playing it. But the sound design of this is so good that it's actually getting to me, which is an accomplishment all its own.
Yeah.
So I definitely plan on continuing to play and finish it.
Nice.
So
are you gonna go to something spooky afterwards? Or are you gonna?
No. The next game I want to get back to while we've got time over the break, because I was gonna play Stalker 2, but hearing how buggy it is, I think I'll wait. Aside from Jay and I are gonna stream it tomorrow from 3 to 5. Yeah, 3 to 5 p.m. Central. So we'll be checking it out tomorrow. But the next game I want to jump back into is Wayfinder from Airship Syndicate. Now that it's in 1.0. So if you don't know what happened with that game, it was originally published by the developers of Warframe. Blanking on their name for a second here, but
Digital
Extremes. And then after a while, like it didn't have like the biggest launch, and so Digital Extremes actually like unpublished the game. They dropped the game as its publisher, and so the developers at Airship Syndicate were kind of left with like, oh shit, what do we do? Well, because they're a smaller studio in Austin, Texas. They're only like at the time they were like 50 something people. So that's not a big enough team to like host a whole games as a service MMO. So they took it back to the drawing board and like removed all the microtransactions and everything and turned it into a co-op ARPG experience that you just buy and play now, and it has a beginning and end.
Yeah, it's interesting to see games live servicing. Obviously Dragon Age seemed to have done that at some point in development to become Veilguard. We're seeing it here. Even like Nintendo's doing it with that Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. It's like just releasing the complete edition. It's $20. Put it on your phone. This is it. No more live service microtransaction things.
Yeah. So if you like the combat of Darksiders and everything from what I've played of Wayfinder, very, very similar, because obviously a lot of the same people worked on Darksiders. Cool. Art design is Joe Madureira, so if you like his art, you like the art of Darksiders, you would really like this. So yeah, I'm excited to jump back more into it. I think I might need to like just restart with a fresh character because I don't remember what I was supposed to be doing. But from what I did play, like they did when it was a live service game, the opening was really long and drawn out. You had to go to all the merchants, you had to go to do all this live service shit that is so boring. They've removed all of that, and you just get right into the game now, and it's great. Like it took like an hour before to get to like the meat of the game. Now it takes like 20 minutes. Go through the tutorial, get to the hub area, and go. You're done. Fantastic. So that's what I want to play more of. And then got caught up with Arcane, so watched the second part of season 2. Not gonna spoil anything because I know people are waiting for it all to be out to watch it, but damn, that's some hard-hitting emotional stuff.
It's gonna be great. Yeah. I love that. I love that they're saying like this story's done after this, and then they're gonna like do more stories in the universe because there's a billion characters. But
it feels.
I'm glad it's not being dragged out.
It feels a little rushed to me. I don't like. It's not Game of Thrones like season 8 rushed, but definitely a show like I want to spend more time with the characters, and I'm sad that it's ending after just 2 seasons because it feels like there's a lot more world building and story to tell. But
so they've confirmed like this is like we will just never get more Arcane after this, or we just won't get this plot line of Arcane after this.
Well, my gut says it's going to be called something else. That it's going to be a League of Legends story from the same creative team.
But like it just shifts to like
10 of the other 100 characters. So
like
continent, a different time period, a different thing. Yeah,
and that would just make sense, and it also like frees them up to not get bogged down by, like trying to keep the same story going forever. Like give these characters arcs and finish their plot, and then like move on to elsewhere in the world. That feels like a good thing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good thing. It's like it's so good, I want more of it. Complaint. But I also know when we ask for more and more and more, then you want.
What if we do several Star Wars and Marvel shows a year? All right, here you go.
Yeah,
you asked for it.
So once I'm wrapped up with this, though, my God, my TV backlog has grown immensely. I know the Dune show isn't great. I still want to check it out.
I have no interest in watching this Dune show. I don't need any. I don't fucking care about these Bene Gesserits. I'm gonna be the first one to say it. I don't give a shit about these witches. These sandwiches. I don't need anything. Oh, sandwiches. That's good.
Wow, that's good.
Apple has not marketed it at all for some reason, but Bad Sisters got season 2. And it's out.
They market Good Sisters, not Bad Sisters.
What?
No, that's a show like Amy was like raving about a couple of years ago. That's about some Bad Sisters or something.
And I watched the first season. It was fantastic.
Remember this?
There you go. More Bad Sisters.
Silo get a second season. I want to watch that.
Yeah.
So I haven't gotten a
Drinking just got a second season. Get fucking Jason Segel and Harrison Ford in all sorts of predicaments together. Love it when a couple dudes get in predicaments. It's great.
And then whatchamacallit, somebody mentioned in chat earlier, From has a third season on. It's not even called Epics anymore. We don't even know what fucking service is on anymore. MGM Plus. I remembered the only thing I subscribe to that service for when From has a new season.
Yeah, both those names are bad names for a streaming service.
Yeah, those are all terrible names.
Yeah. So I've got a nice backlog of shows for our winter break when we get there.
There you go.
Nice.
Honestly, I don't really have any. I fucking watch Gladiator. It's cool. Literally, my Gladiator was good.
I want to hear your very few thoughts you have on Stalker 2.
I don't even want to give my Stalker 2 thoughts yet because I played the game so little and I was doing it while answering emails. And I feel like me saying the game sucks is just going to get people angry at me.
You still said it anyway.
But no, I didn't say it. I said if I said the game sucks, people are going to get angry at me.
Yeah.
And he hasn't given it a fair shake yet.
I haven't given it a fair shake. Also, this is not a game for me.
No,
like it's like you got to survive, and I'm like I'm out. If I click on a body, and all of a sudden a menu with everything they're holding comes up, and it's like, which of these do you want to take over your inventory? I'm immediately like, I don't want to play this game.
This is the least Marty game of Marty games.
I don't want to play this game. That's because all I want is nice, short, cinematic, single player shooter campaigns.
Metro.
And I'm not gonna play Metro. It's got it seems too much like Stalker. If I'm being honest.
They're in the same universe.
It's linear. No, it's not. It's not.
It's all the same universe.
What do you mean? No, it's not. I thought they are the same universe.
No, Metro's its own universe.
A really insane, long time.
It's the
Stalker fan told me that they're in the same universe.
For a game.
No, that person was the actual Stalker.
4A Games was formed by a lot of former GSC developers. But they're not.
Okay.
Not
so they have
universe. They were like
lineage. Okay.
Yeah. They were like 3 Splinter Studios that formed off of GSC. 4A Games was one of them. There was another one. Oh man, it's in the account. It's a game from so long ago. I can't remember what it is right now. But there's another apocalyptic like multiplayer game that I think had a big Kickstarter and then just didn't go anywhere. So that I think only 4A Games out of those studios survived long term. Somebody in chat's gonna remember it. But yeah, and Leadfoot says GSC was terrible to work at back in the day. Yeah, they're like everybody left. All the talent left GSC. So that's why when like Stalker 2 was announced out of nowhere under GSC, I was like, huh? Who's working here now? Where'd the studio come from?
However, you can't say that they're two very different separate series. They are two different separate series. I'm on Casey's team. You can't say very. They kind of seem like the same thing. Oh no, my quote's down there. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Why is it in red? It seems like funereal. Is that a word? Funereal.
That's crazy.
Anyways, I played a good single player shooter, and it's called 2014's Wolfenstein: The New Order. Let me tell you guys that we used to be a country. And folks used to make a game that was just 6 hours long, and you just killed a bunch of fucking Nazis, and the cutscenes were awesome, but then they moved very quickly, and you get kind of confused over how the next thing is happening, but it doesn't matter because the performances are great, the levels are great, the set pieces are great, the characters are great. Wolfenstein is fucking great, and I am excited to play through Old Blood and New Colossus, because New Colossus, in my memory, was the
What about
superior of the
Youngblood?
games. What about what? I'm not
What
gonna play
about
Youngblood. I'm not gonna play Youngblood. That's probably one of those games where when you click on a dead body, a menu comes up with all the shit in their pockets. I'm not playing any of those games.
I forget what is Old Blood?
Old Blood
Was that
is
like an expansion, or was that a separate game?
It's a standalone.
It was a standalone.
Oh, no.
It was a standalone, short standalone expansion prequel that came out, I believe, the year after New Colossus. So it's like what BJ was doing beforehand.
Okay.
It's got like a little bit more of an occult tinge to it, like with zombos and whatnot.
Sure.
But I'm doing this because these are all developed by Machine Games, who are making Indiana Jones, which comes out in a few weeks. So I'm very excited for that.
Why didn't you add the Chronicles of Riddick games to this replay
I
list?
could, because that
Why
was
didn't you
before,
add Syndicate to this
before
list?
Machine Games was Starbreeze, and yeah, so I gotta be in, like, I got my brain tantrums, and I gotta be in control of them somewhat. So I had to like put a flag in. I also had to think like logistically. I'm like, I think I could beat a couple these Wolfenstein games before Indy, but then you started tacking more games onto it. I don't know if I could do that.
Didn't you play literally every Final Fantasy thing? Like,
yeah, but
sleep.
it wasn't a week beforehand. Like, I gave myself, and the same thing with all the Zelda games, but I gave myself a big old running head start. I didn't give myself a big old running head start because I didn't know I wanted to do this until like a week ago. They put that little showcase out for Indie, and I'm like, damn, I'm gonna whip so many of these fools, solve all sorts of puzzles,
I've like
fucking colonize this place.
I've
Classic Indie
reinstalled
style.
Youngblood.
Artifacts.
I've reinstalled Youngblood like 4 different times because like the trailer looks good. Well, aside from the dialogue, I can't stand the dialogue in those games. But I was like, it's Wolfenstein. It looks fun. And then I get in there, I'm like, no.
Yeah, because you click on the first dead Nazi, and all of a sudden you see everything in his pockets. Like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here at all.
Loot and health bars and bullet spongy enemies. Why? Why'd you do it?
Wolfenstein's
I
great.
need to play at least the new Colossus. Because
did you not play the New Order or the New Colossus?
No, I did play the New Order. I liked it a lot, but I just never got around to like continuing.
Yeah.
So like really at the very least, New Colossus I want to jump into.
I still really like their before they were Machine Games, there was Starbreeze. No, not Starbreeze.
Yeah, Starbreeze.
Yeah. I was thinking of the studio that does Payday.
Also Starbreeze.
Like what? Did they? Oh, just put it. Fuck. That Syndicate game that they made under EA though still has some of like the best shooting in any FPS.
Yeah, that's like a little cult classic. That Syndicate game.
I think there's a couple of those forgotten games: Syndicate, Shadowrun, all those little shooters that are just sprinkled out there.
Yeah, the Shadowrun multiplayer game was so far ahead of its time. Much like Viva Pinata, I should do a topic on that. Mag was crap.
What was that game that had like? No. It was like, we have like first person parkour in our shooter.
Brink.
And then Brink, yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
I remember like all these like AI controlled like it just came out and just nothing was what they promised.
I remember
I was so excited for Brink.
Yeah,
Brink sounded so pretty cool on paper.
I remember picking that game up, putting it in the Xbox, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And I just did not I immediately returned it.
Shame.
Yeah. There were a lot of those weird multiplayer FPS games that came out. Like I had Jesse put it in the Viva Pinata video I just did, but like for the brown and gray shooters, but nobody pointed it out in the comments like Frontline Fields of War. Like
sounds like a made up game.
It was supposed to be a big thing.
Doesn't sound like a real game. Sounds like a faker. Classic faker. Gamer of the year, faker. Okay. Before we wrap up, a couple super chats came in. I believe in Doo-Doo Man with a $2 dono. Thank you so much, Kay. But Pokemon, the card game app, do or don't, you choose. I have slowed down my Pokemoning aggressively this week. I'll check it in the morning, and I'll check it at night, and just open up a few packs, and that's all I do.
I was excited for it, but I do not like the battle system.
I think the battling is bad. I just want to collect cards.
Yep, I don't care about
I have it downloaded. I'm looking at it now. I just haven't clicked on it to start.
Yeah.
Even like the energy system doesn't make sense to me.
Makes sense to me. It just feels like
you can't like have a deck like Marvel Snap where it's a bunch of mixed stuff together. You have to like optimize your deck around specific energies.
I mean, that was Pokemon.
That's annoying.
Game.
Yeah,
So
I don't like that. Give me Freeform. Give me Marvel Snap up
There you go.
Pokemon.
Marvel Snap's not going anywhere. Don't you worry.
I haven't played it in a couple months now.
Denmark with a $2 dono. I believe going back to Disenchantment, way too much time spent on Steamland.
Yeah, like stuff like that. That was one of my complaints. Like, and like there wasn't like a huge payoff for the time spent there. Well, here's a fun thing. When they first got to Steamland, there's like a carnival area where like different people are like displayed as like freak show attractions. That happens to one of the main characters, and like there's a whole sequence where like they go in and save that character. They go back to Steamland in an entirely different season, and the same thing happens to multiple characters, and they have to free multiple characters from the same freak show that they freed the one character from in the first place. And it's like, you just did it again? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like, they were just stalling for time, and I don't understand how that happens. It was just very, very odd.
Classic Steamland. One of the true Steamland mysteries.
Kind of thought they were talking about like a Steam like computer land. Steam, so.
Valve land.
Every time I sit down on my computer, I'm about to log into Steamland. Let me queue up. I don't know whose voice that was. So my apologies to anyone who felt like I was mocking them there. But yeah, that'll about do it for us this episode. We did great. That was wonderful. Casey, what do you got going on? What should folks check out?
The usual. You can find me on all the social medias at Sigma Gears 9. Tomorrow, Marty and I will be continuing Metroid Prime. Friday, I'll be continuing something. Maybe I'll go back to Armored Core 6 for a little bit and then jump to something else because like I really like Armored Core 6. I probably won't return to Space Marine 2 on stream. Like I'll just play that here and there on my own if I get a chance. But yeah, like Armored Core 6 and a mystery game. We'll see. Super Smash Sunday on my personal channel on Sunday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm trying to think. There's a couple of things that will be edited, but I don't know when they'll go up. So just keep an eye on the Second One channel in general, and you'll just see fun stuff pop up here and there. Not necessarily featuring me, but produced by me, more than likely.
There you go. Fingers in the pies. Speaking of streams tomorrow, we got a triple decker at noon Central. Jack and Jess starting their Liza P adventure.
Can't wait.
An hour later at 3 p.m. Central, as Nick mentioned, Nick and Jamate will be playing Stalker 2 first couple hours. And then, like Casey mentioned, 7 p.m. At night, more Metroid. Maybe-ish getting into the back half of the game. Will we finish it before the end of the calendar year? We'll see. We'll see. And of course, Jay and the crew have dev heads on Friday with Mandalore Gaming. So that should be fun. And then Nick, what else do you got? Obviously, you got stream tomorrow, but then you mentioned Unpacked.
Yep, I had Unpacked go up on Monday on Viva Pinata because I had nothing else to talk about this week. But I'm glad I got to make it because it's a fun video. And then next week, Tuesday, starting from 5 to 7 p.m. Central, Tina and I will be streaming on Twitch only, so go subscribe there. That's going to be our new FPS Tuesdays, what we're calling it. So we'll be playing some Rainbow Six Siege this week. She wants to play some Trepang.
Oh, did you hear that they're making Rainbow 7?
No.
Yeah, I got a guy who told me they're making a 7th one. Which is fuck. I'm gonna have to go back and play all 6 of those fuckers. Remember New Vegas? That game was cool. Not New Vegas.
It's just
Vegas. Regular Vegas. Old Vegas.
Vegas 1 and 2.
They made 2 of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Second one should have been called New Vegas.
Yeah, Tina's obviously worked on the Call of Duty franchise and everything, so she's a big FPS player. Call of Duty and Apex. So I will be teaching her how to play Rainbow Six Siege.
Damn.
And I told her that Casey's not invited because he likes to shoot me in the back.
I'm not invited because I want to play.
Not invited because I want to eat dinner on Tuesday night. Excellent. So yeah, all that stuff. Summer Emblematic tomorrow, all the good stuff. And yeah, as a housekeeping note, next week, obviously, we will not be streaming on Thursday and Friday for the holiday. I think we're going to be doing something in this slot next week. Depending, if Casey's not there, maybe we'll do an episode if it's interesting. Maybe we'll just play a game or something. But we should be back in this slot, even though it's right before the holiday. But stay tuned for that. And the new Battle Masters on Monday. Can I say that?
It's
New
coming.
Battle Masters on Monday.
Battle Masters, another good one. Guys, this one's real funny. You need to watch this one.
I'm gonna say,
Yeah.
your boy did not win. The shock of everyone. Your boy did not win.
So funny.
Uh,
It's our longest one yet, and I was laughing through almost the whole 30 minutes. It's great.
It's good. I'm excited for everyone to get the full runs because everyone has a full hour run, and let me tell you, it's very dumb. Very dumb video game.
Yeah, I know my run was very dumb, but I really want to see everyone else's.
Yeah, that'll be a ton of fun. Excellent. So for Eric, for Nick, for Casey, this was Marty. This was Firelink episode number 45. Thank you so much, everyone in chat who joined us live on YouTube, folks who are listening on Patreon, folks who are listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, your podcast service of choice. We appreciate you all, especially those patrons. We have a lot of cool stuff planned. Especially at that $5 tier and above, everything from weekly columns from Darren and myself, new monthly experimental videos, which you can see the first one from Javed, if you're at that tier or above, about how he branded Second Wind, all of your favorite shows, and then the site as a whole, or the channel as a whole. Tune that in. And of course, if you're a member at the Phoenix tier, we're gonna be doing our I gotta send that message out Monday. We're gonna be doing movie night on Monday. I'll send that message out.
That's
Shit.
soon.
I know that soon. I just remembered now. Thank you guys. Everyone have a great rest of your Wednesdays, and we'll see y'all tomorrow for a big old day of streaming. Bye, everyone.
Later.
John Boys.